So we put together this meeting to explain the new automated stop sign enforcement program. It's a bill that just got passed that for the city of Takoma Park that we're about to implement the program. We're looking at vendors, and it's important for us to meet with the community and get your input, explain the program, explain the technology behind it, and then get your input. And that's our primary focus tonight, is to explain it and to answer any questions that you may have. If you do have questions, we have prepared a slide. I'm going to go through that slide. Feel free to stop us at any time during the slide to ask questions. And if you do have questions, please wait for a mic so that your question can be recorded and that it can be heard. And this meeting will be recorded for others who couldn't make it. And so that's one of the reasons why although I can hear you, one of the reasons we need to get you on the mic. All right. We can start with the slide. So the Senate Bill 600, or it is written 0600, was introduced in Annapolis by State Delegate Lorig Charkoudian, and it was passed on April 7th and signed into law in May by the governor. The bill, as you can, I'll stand over here so you guys can see it. The bill, it's authorizes a pilot program for the city of Takoma Park and the city of Baltimore. It's just the way the bill was written. And it has different, different things for Baltimore City on how the revenues are used, how the stop sign enforcement program is initiated there and versus here. Now, the stop sign program, automated stop sign enforcement, is already happening in Prince George's County. So it's new from Montgomery County, and we're the first jurisdiction in Montgomery County to initiate the program or pilot it. The pilot is for 4 years. It starts, the bill, although it was signed in May, is effective July 1st, 2025. And it's for 4 years, and it goes through June 30th of 2029. At that point, I guess state legislature will decide on if the program is worth moving forward, if other jurisdictions will get it, or if it'll be countywide, et cetera. And in 2027, we'll have to provide the state, well, we have to provide it periodically, but in 2027, we'll have to provide the state legislature with a report on how the program is going, how many citations have been issued, what we see as far as pedestrian safety, any reduction in traffic collisions, any reduction in collisions involving pedestrians. So I'm going to hand over the slideshow to Captain Mark Mazzotti. He's been very important in getting this program off the ground, researching it. And we're also researching several vendors. We do have a top vendor right now, but we just haven't signed any contracts with them. We're still kind of looking into the program and the ins and outs of it. All right. So if you have any questions, make sure you get our attention, raise your hand, and we'll bring a mic to you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Deputy Chief. I'm Captain Mazzotti. Just a few short months ago, we learned that Takoma Park was selected to pilot this program along with Baltimore City, like the Deputy Chief explained. It was a confusing time because it was around the time when the Maryland House and Senate were getting ready to close down. Everybody thought the bill had died, and then the bill actually was alive, and we were continuing to run with this program. So, like the Deputy Chief explained, we're not the first jurisdiction in Maryland to have these cameras. So we had to do a bit of research and find out who's using what and kind of get an idea of what is the best product. But what we did do is a preliminary traffic study. Some of you may have noticed at some of these stop signs that we had a company come out and set up some cameras that would actually capture vehicles not stopping at the stop signs. And what they found was nearly 12,000 vehicles were not stopping at stop signs only over the course of 8 days in just 19 of the city's intersections. We picked these intersections because they were within a half mile of a school zone, and they were also, we had data on vehicle collisions at these intersections and a high number of traffic enforcement at these intersections. So like this slide tells you, 67% of the vehicles are not stopping at the stop signs on a daily basis. So we're going to jump into what exactly is automated stop sign enforcement. The Tacoma Park Police are familiar with automated traffic enforcement. We used to have the speed cameras, and now we actually have the red light cameras. And so we're kind of dipping our toes into the waters of stop sign enforcement. And it works the same way as a lot of our other technology does. It's a camera system mounted near the stop sign. It'll capture the vehicles failing to stop or making a stop, and then it's reviewed by law enforcement before a citation is issued. This is exactly how we did speed camera citations and red light camera citations. So this is not new to us. But if you didn't know, it is a civil citation, so it doesn't carry any points, and it's actually a reduced fine than actually being pulled over by an actual police officer. Where we're initially planning to deploy it, again, the bill says we have to deploy it within a half a mile of a school zone. So we have to be within a proximity to a school, and we're probably going to weigh that against the crash data and the amount of pedestrian traffic that is in these communities and where the stop signs are. And of course, why we're here tonight is to get your feedback on where you feel that these stop sign cameras should be deployed. So we definitely are going to hope to get some answers back from you guys tonight. At the end of this program, if you have any reserved questions and you didn't get to ask, or you just weren't sure, there is going to be a short survey with a QR code that you can scan and submit them anonymously. And also for those who are watching at home after this has been recorded, you too can submit your answers on the survey as well. This is just a map of where we positioned our cameras for the actual traffic study. And as you can see, we kind of peppered them throughout the city, tried to maintain that within a half mile of the school zone and where we felt we were actually going to capture good data. And we did capture good data. Not every single stop sign actually had a huge amount of violations happening on a daily basis, which was very surprising to me. I don't know if this has a pointer. The point very down at the bottom, that's Sligo Mill and Sheridan. I know when I was on patrol, that used to be a hotspot for me to pick up people running stop signs. I thought for sure this stop sign was going to produce some big numbers. And the study actually showed that it was less than 100 a day. Whereas different intersections such as Ethan Allen and Jackson was in the range of 1,500 a day. And that goes into the total number of nearly 12,000 a day. You can see some of those points are laying on top of each other. It's because we actually, I'm sorry, am I in your way, ma'am? Some of those points are laying on top of each other is because we actually have cameras pointing in both directions at some intersections to capture both east and west, north and south of that intersection. And some of them were actually right up there in the top left corner, Tacoma and Fenton. We actually captured data, people traveling on Tacoma onto Fenton and Fenton onto Tacoma. And that produced some good data for us as well. So how this works is the camera captures the vehicle approaching the stop sign. The camera detects a full stop or a violation. And the way it does that is it's measuring the speed of the vehicle as it's approaching the stop sign. It's a full stop, so the speed of the vehicle comes down to 0. Now, this has to be evaluated by a law enforcement officer or a law enforcement technician before we determine whether or not that was an actual stop or there's just an actual violation and a citation needs to be issued. Over time, we can actually curate our program to say, this speed range is considered a stop, and this speed range is not considered a stop because nobody comes to 0 miles per hour at a stop sign. The whole wheels come to a stop, you wait 3 seconds and go. Nobody does that. And we can't, this is not supposed to be a punishment, and this is not supposed to be a money grab for the city. This is supposed to be an educational tool to help shape behaviors and change behaviors. We're looking to reduce the amount of stop sign violations, not let them just grow exponentially. Once they determine that it is a violation, violators will receive a high-resolution image of the incident in the mail, including date and time and location, also all the information on the vehicle, and a citation number will be assigned to it. It is a civil citation, and it will come with all the necessary information on how to make payment, several options there, and also how to appeal it or fight the citation as well, just like we would with any uniform state-issued citation that an officer might issue during a traffic stop. Community benefits is, again, we're creating safer driving behavior. We're shaping behavior out there. It's not supposed to be punitive. It's supposed to be educational. And what we're hoping to do is make these cameras eventually obsolete. Our safe speed program, our speed cameras eventually became obsolete because it shaped the desired behavior we were looking for. People stopped speeding. The cameras stopped producing, and we removed the cameras. And what's more important than that is fewer collisions and injuries at these intersections. Freeing up our officers for calls that require a higher amount of attention, and increasing equity because the camera doesn't judge who comes through the intersection. It just says, did you stop or did you not? And as we all know, like some of these neighborhoods are actually seeing a higher number of vehicles pouring through them because of the purple line. More cars on the road today than there were 10 years ago. And so the aim is to make the roads safer for everybody. So tonight's objective was to be twofold and tell you what kind of technology we're using, or we're going to hope to be using, how it works, and we also want to address your concerns. And we hope to be able to answer most of your questions tonight, but if we don't, definitely raise your hands so that we could try and address them. One of the biggest concerns is privacy. We can't use these cameras as general surveillance. We can't pull them up for live feeds. And even if we wanted to review camera footage, we're going to have to create a log, an audit log of why we're reviewing camera footage. They're not supposed to be the city's personal real-time crime center or anything like that. They're only used for one purpose, and that's for stop sign violations. Again, all these citations are reviewed by law enforcement personnel, and they're completely appealable. I harped on this once. It's not about profit. It's about safety. It's about shaping behavior. And we're also going to clearly post that, you know, these areas are under photo enforcement. Just as if you approach a neighborhood and you see the speed limit sign, and right below that, it has to be posted, photo enforced. You know you're approaching cameras. So that's another thing that's going to help shape behavior throughout the city. So what this means for the community, again, it's only enforced for failure to stop. There will be a grace period before citations begin, just like as we did with the red light cameras, 30 days, just warnings issued out. And also just kind of, we're also going to be blasting social media platforms that the cameras are in their warning period and the cameras are now in their live enforcement period. Sorry. Timeline. So tonight, we're searching for your input. Within the next 30 days, we're going to go through vendor selection, installation. We're trying to get this off the ground when school starts. So again, our projected dates are, we're going into our warning period on August 30th, and you can expect live enforcement to begin by September 30th. But these are projected dates. There's always a hiccup somewhere. If I need to turn the heat up in this room, just raise your hand, let me know. We turned it up because we didn't want you guys falling asleep or anything. So that pretty much wraps up the slide. Again, if you guys have any questions or concerns, you can email the department or you can scan the QR code. It's only a short 4 questions, but it has some like open-ended questions in case you want to elaborate on a topic or whatnot. Completely anonymous. And again, this is recorded, so you can come back to it if you didn't get it the first time. But yeah, thank you. There's questions already.
Okay, hi, thanks for doing this tonight.
Yeah.
My question first is what the cost is going to be when citations are issued, what people can expect to see. I have received a $100 one from Fort Stevens and 14th. That is no joke. They do not have signage over there about photo enforcement. So that was when you said that there would be, I was curious.
So I'm glad you brought that up because we did look at the vendor that serves DC. And we did kind of shy away from them because they seemed extremely profit heavy. I know DC kind of has a running gag of just how much they can charge people for some of these things.
Yeah.
Citations in the state of Maryland are not to exceed $40. That's right. The civil citation from an automated traffic safety enforcement. Now, a police officer can issue a state citation that's $90 and 1 point. But because this is a civil citation, it's only $40 and no points.
And if I can add, the state law requires signage prior to the stop sign that this is a automated enforcement stop sign. So where that sign goes, it depends on, how that street is designed and where we can put a sign without creating, a hazard or anything like that.
Yeah, we're not looking for like a gotcha. Like we want people to know the cameras are there. So.
Yeah, what were some of the considerations in the location of these cameras? Did you have community input? Was it more based on statistics? Was it everything?
So it was heavily based on data. We looked at some of the data that was coming in from our patrol officers that were reporting vehicle accidents and a lot of other data that was coming in from prior complaints where the most traffic citations were being issued. And some of it was just, we knew that these intersections, or we had a history with these intersections being problematic with people running the stop signs. Areas like Flower and Davis, where they installed newer stop signs as well as like Flower and Maplewood. All of Flower Ave just got a whole bunch of new stop signs about a year or two ago. We knew that these areas were problems for us and we wanted to kind of capture that data. And we kind of wanted to capture it throughout the city. I mean, we know that in the Tacoma-Langley area sees a higher volume of traffic. We know that, and we could have put a bunch of cameras there, but we wanted to spread them around the city so that we can actually get a full bird's eye view of where is the most enforcement needed. And again, one of those questions on the bottom of the survey that I posted earlier, and I'll back it up to it, is where would you like to see cameras placed?
Hi there.
Hi.
Ooh, that was loud. My question is, will you be dividing the cameras equally or attempting to among the different wards in Tacoma Park, how that's playing in? I live in Ward 5 on Flower, and I feel like we're underrepresented a lot in these situations. So I just want to make sure that our area is being focused on, especially with the purple line now being up the street. And you talked about shaping behavior. The idea of people entering Tacoma Park right where we are. I have a 6-year-old son Mayflower is a mess still, even with the stop signs. So I just wanted to hear more about how, is it going to just be by the survey, how you're going to distribute the cameras?
A lot of it goes into just not from the survey, but also from the data, and also just being equitable too to all the community members in the city. Like I said, we know the most heavily populated area would garner the most data, but would that be fair to the rest of the city? And that's why during our traffic study, we kind of tried to spread them out. And I think when we do actually wind up getting live cameras out there, you will see a equal spread across the city.
Okay, thank you.
I'll get you in.
So back decades ago, when I took my driver training class, they told us that when we go up to a stop sign, you're supposed to stop for a minimum of 2 seconds so that you can make sure that you can survey the entire intersection. So is there going to be a minimum time that the person needs to stop at the stop sign that she'll be enforcing? And then will they also be looking for other things like, you know, when you come to a stop sign, you're supposed to first come is supposed to be the first one to go, except if 2 people come at the same time, then it's supposed to be the person on the right that goes. So will there be other kinds of things, or just when there's an accident? And then in terms of the placement, I think you said you have to have it within a half a mile of a school. So that's going to leave out a large part of the community. I know we have stop signs that people run routinely in my neighborhood, especially the one where the school bus stops. So is there any flexibility in that? And then finally, is if you pick locations and you find that they're not picking up a whole lot, can you move the cameras to a different location?
No problem. Give me 1 second so I make sure I answer all of them. And moving cameras. Okay, so your first question was how long of a stop? So what we found through the traffic study was nobody comes to the full stop and the wait 2 seconds. And what it was is we were picking up a lot of violations. But people were coming to what's considered a reasonable stop, what we would all consider a stop. If you leave here tonight and get in your car and come to a stop sign and you watch your speedometer, you might get down to 2 or 3 miles per hour, but you're going to feel like you haven't moved. So what these cameras are going to do, using their speedometers that are in the cameras, is we're going to tell it 2 to 3 miles per hour. We consider that a stop. You know, it's not fair to punish that driver when the guy going 10 miles an hour blew right through it, because at 10 miles an hour, you actually see it on camera. They blow through that stop sign. So eventually the program's not even going to show us the 2 to 3 mile per hour stop. It's only going to show us the stuff that we consider you just completely disregarded that stop sign. So we're not trying to punish the people who are actually trying to make an attempt to stop at a stop sign, but their speedometer didn't hit 0. We're trying to get the people who are completely violating the law and making it unsafe for everybody else out here. School distance, where's your community located, ma'am? Your community, where?
South of Sligo, so over Elm and 410 and New Hampshire, that area.
So what I did was I kind of did a map on Google of where all of our schools are, and then you could draw points to the stop signs, and it draws in meters. So I had to have Google translate meters to half a mile, and it's something like 800 meters is around a half a mile. I was able to get data from Ethan Allen and Jackson because it is within 800 meters of the school right next door to here. I was able to get data in the Ward 6 area because it's within the Tacoma Academy and the Don Bosco School. So we're looking for ways to make sure that it's equitable for the communities and that we're actually following the law and we're within the same distance.
We do have Don Bosco right across New Hampshire Avenue from us.
Yeah. So you probably are going to be represented because we can justify that this is the school zone. This is where kids, you know, are going to be commuting back home, back and forth from school. And then the last part of your question is, if a camera's not producing, we do have the ability to move it because we're not just paying for these cameras just to sit and catch 1 or 2 violators. If the stop sign has, or the camera has shaped the desired behavior, we can move it somewhere where we're actually having more trouble. So it's not like we're going to just let them sit. They're not fixed objects or anything like that. We can move them around.
We can add cameras to the program as time goes by if we find there's because with the Purple Line construction, things are going to change. And once the railway opens up, traffic patterns are going to change. So if we find that there's more violations in another area of the city, we can add cameras. We can talk to the vendor to add cameras.
Troy Jacobs from Ward 5. I live on Flower Avenue also, and have lived there for many years and have seen the paving of Flower Avenue, which was very good. And that's when they put in the stop signs. And what we saw is actually traffic increasing through those because it was a smooth stretch of road. If you go from Erie to, I believe, like Hudson. And so I saw in your map that you had one of the cameras somewhere on Flower, it looked like. I would certainly advocate for that straight stretch of Flower going from Hudson or Houston to Erie, because there's the school. And when you're thinking of schools, are you including also sort of Washington Adventist as well as Rolling Terrace? Because our kids go to Rolling Terrace Elementary, and so that's often not considered in the calculus that the city does, and I hope it does in your calculations. And the other thing is in terms of the data, given that Flower is the boundary, and one side of it's Silver Spring in Montgomery County, and the other side is the city of Tacoma Park, what we have seen is that the data often will be sort of bifurcated as well. If you have an accident, and when we did have accidents at Kennebec or that block around Kennebec, where there were cars going through and they had single car collisions where they crashed onto the Silver Spring side, and Montgomery County came out to investigate it and do whatever. And I don't think that data gets included in what you're talking about unless you're due diligence to actually include it, because it's often sort of omitted.
No, I appreciate you raising that.
And I mean,
Making a note of it.
there was, I mean, a year ago, about a year ago, because it was in September, there was this car that flipped at Kennebec and Flower. And, this was attributed to sneezing, but, this was a car pulling away from the stop sign at Kennebec and Flower. And so I hope that all this data is included in the decision to make, decide upon where these cameras are. It's a very good idea, and I encourage it.
Thank you.
Again, the idea is to have every community represented in this program, without a feeling of oversaturation as well. If we put a camera at every stop sign in the city, I think we're actually gonna see a shaping of behavior at the cost of the community trust in the department, because now it just feels like we're over punishing everybody. But I understand what you're saying, and I did make a note to include Montgomery County PD's crash data along Flower Ave, because you are right, the jurisdictional line does kind of split us right down the middle, and we might actually be missing some good data right there. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much for all of this. I wonder how much data from the stops that have been monitored you might share with us, even if it's just kind of this one had the most, this one had the least or something, because I guess I'm trying to understand how until we move from those selected sites to the final sites, right? Because you're asking for feedback on where, and it sounds like maybe some of those weren't as big as others. So if you could help me understand how we're getting from that to the final locations, that'd be great.
I don't. Sure. I don't have the exact numbers right in front of me, but I did kind of bring it up that numbers that jumped out to me were Ethan Allen and Jackson being a top producer of violations, and areas like Sligo Mill and Sheridan being such a low producer. But for the most part, the most of the intersections that we gathered data from did show promising results. As like, you should put a camera here because you're going to get violations, definitely. And then after we did this study, we ran another study for another 4 days on just 2 locations, Lincoln and Jackson and Ann and Hammond, which are 2 locations that I understand that people use to kind of circumvent normal traffic control devices like red lights and stuff. People are going to come down Jackson Ave to get to the creek, and people are going to cut down Ann Street to kind of try and get around the traffic from the Purple Line. And those actually we knew the violations would be there because of the heavy flow of traffic. But if you give me a little bit of time, I could probably get you some actual numbers of the 18 locations we did do. And you can actually see for yourself that for the most part, a lot of them were top producers. And then there were about 2 or 3 that just weren't worth putting a camera at. Any other questions? Again, I could put up the QR code at here. You can save it. You could go back to it. You can add stuff to it. It's there for you to fill out and for us to review and get your ideas and your feedback. And is this something that you support? Is this what are your concerns about it? And we'll try and do our best to address them, especially with as we start to roll out the social media campaign that we're going to go live with this enforcement project. We do have your support behind it. Yes, ma'am.
I'm thrilled about this program. I feel very lucky that Tacoma Park it has been selected. I didn't say that earlier. And I'm here on behalf of like 3 or 4 of my neighbors who couldn't make it, and they all on Flower. Everyone's fingers are crossed. I'm going to share this with them, but they are really hopeful that our area, I saw 2 spots on the map, but I'll make sure everybody does the survey. But this feels like a really important step, especially as you pointed out, the traffic in our area is only going to increase with this Purple Line opening up, and we're watching the construction down the street daily as it gets closer and closer. Having this kind of, these things implemented in our city, I think, as a mom with a young kid makes me feel more comfortable. So I just want to thank everybody.
Thank you. We did do our due diligence in kind of reaching out to the PG County jurisdictions and asking them, what sort of experiences and results have you guys been seeing? And a lot of them are reporting over 50 or 60% reductions in stop sign violations over time, of course. But this is the ultimate goal of the project, is to shape the driver's behavior to, especially when they enter our community. The signs are there. The cameras are there, come to a stop at the stop sign, look both ways, watch out for children, all those things. So I think over time, we're actually going to see a dramatic reduction in violations and just overall a safer community.
One thing that we didn't really touch on is the vendor that we're looking at. Their plan and design for implementation has very minimal environmental impact. Their cameras are solar powered. It doesn't require any kind of conduit or digging or anything like that to Pepco or anything like that. It's a small base. I forgot what the size of it is. Size of the base is a very small cement base. Will not require any kind of digging or anything, just around that base area. And there's a pole with the camera attached to it. The vendor is, that we're talking to, if there is another structure there that they can attach the camera to, whoever, if it's a pole, they need to get permission from Pepco, and whoever owns that structure, they have to get permission from it. But if there is another structure they can attach the camera to, they'll do that as well. Go ahead, hold on.
Kids need to know that this is going to be happening, and I don't know if it would just be sharing your social media with the principal who has like an active Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff, but it would be, I think, useful to communicate with at least that high school, if not some others that are close by, so these young people that are driving are paying attention as well.
No, I think that's a great idea to share this information with communities that are outside of our communities, and to even get a hold of social media platforms that have much larger followings than us, Moco News or some of these other platforms that have already gathered the tens of thousands of followers that would see this message that Tacoma Park is rolling out this stop sign pilot program.
There's going to be a media blitz, and once we actually get this program rolling, I'm pretty sure all the local news channels are going to cover it. There's going to be a lot of media attention to this program, especially in Montgomery County, as he said, Moco News and other things. But we certainly will notify the schools.
Yeah, I have a question. So, emergency vehicles aside, how will city vehicles be evaluated during this program with their either indiscretions or, with stop sign enforcement?
So like a garbage truck runs the stop sign. Well, I think the citation is going to come to us. And we're going to say, yes, that's a violation. And then we're going to mail it up the street to Public Works. No, everybody gets held accountable. And that's the fair thing to do. Yeah.
And that's the same for all automated enforcement. Government vehicles are not exempt from traffic law. Police vehicles are not exempt from traffic law. Only if they're responding to a call or something like that are they exempt from that.
Just a question about the timeline, because you're wanting feedback from us and the community. There's got to be a deadline. And because if you're going to implement this in the fall, can you give us a sort of when we need to nudge our neighbors? And
What was that last part?
just, I mean, we're going to be nudging our neighbors to fill the survey, and just, is there a deadline or time?
Well, we do have some of the locations that when we did the traffic study kind of cemented the idea of, okay, we're definitely going to put a camera here because it's obviously a problem. But the feedback we do get, the one good thing about the company we're looking at is as long as it's not really a state road, it really does not require a whole lot of time and effort to put a camera up, as opposed to like the headaches and pains we went through with the red light cameras. Since most of them are on state roads, it took months, and we're still actually waiting for one, and they're dragging their feet. We could be, if there's a location in mind, and we're saying, okay, the community has spoken, they want us a camera there, and we tell the company we want a camera there, they could have it up within a day or two. It's not a long drawn out effort to get cameras put up. So yeah, we are coming up to my hopes of a projected deadline of having these cameras in their warning phase for when school starts. But we have 4 years to run this pilot program. And like we described earlier, when cameras succeed in shaping the behaviors, we can always relocate cameras. We can add more cameras. We can reduce cameras. It's a very malleable project.
I will also add that we tested or we studied 18 intersections or 18 locations, and 15 of them were viable. Like the other 3 intersections, there were hardly any traffic or hardly any violations, which didn't justify the use of that technology and the cost of that technology in that area. But those 15 intersections that we think are justify the cameras, that's where our initial thought process is. But the way these cameras go up, they're not all going to go up, you know, in 1 week or 2 weeks. There's going to be a tiered system where I think it takes probably about 2 weeks, a week to 2 weeks for an intersection to be completed. So there's time for us to decide. So if we, right now, you know, talking to the vendor, we're going to give a number of, you know, we want 15 cameras. And we can always change those intersections. Those intersections aren't, like, you know, the captain said, aren't, you know, in stone. We can change the intersections, you know, as they progress. But sooner the better. So if there's an intersection that you want to let us know that it's a problem and you think it's within the law's requirement of being a half mile to a school, let us know. And even if it's not a half mile to the school, let us know. And we, you know, it might not be a camera. We'll send an officer out there to conduct enforcement as needed.
And that's also not to say that we can't ask whichever company we choose to work with that we continue to run these traffic studies on locations that are not currently being enforced as possible locations of where we'll actually need future camera sites to be. You know, it's not our hope to saturate the entire community in cameras, but it is within reason to do our due diligence and gather the data from those locations that the community is pointing out to us.
I can't remember. I feel like I should actually know this. Is it that it has to be within a half mile of a school zone, or it's recommended?
No.
Because I'm thinking of a location where it's right by a playground, you know.
Yeah.
So again, it could be understandably a good idea there, but I just wasn't sure if.
You know, state law made it very clear with automated traffic enforcement that it had what is defined as a school zone and the distance from a school zone. It's if it was parks, that would definitely open up more windows for us because there's a park almost on every block of the city. So the entire city would be within boundary. So, but yeah, it is school zones.
Just to follow that, what about a nursery daycare? Is that considered a school zone?
Not under state law would that be considered a school zone. A school zone is a public place learning K through 12, which I think somebody else brought up about Washington at Venice, might not qualify as a school zone. So we might have to get creative in where we locate the school and how we see where we can put them on Flower Ave. Because it is my interest to have cameras on Flower Ave as well.
Hi, you mentioned that that it might take some time to work with the state to get permission to put these up on state roads.
Yeah.
And I noticed that, for instance, Holly and Philadelphia, State Road, you mentioned Ethan Allen and Jackson, State Road. How far along are you in negotiating with the state?
We're working with Shaw on on other projects and various projects, but red light camera systems. So we're in conversation with them, and they do know that we have a stop sign, automated stop sign project in play. So they're aware of it, and we've already had communications with them about the state roads that we that are within our jurisdiction that, you know, possibly can have a stop sign camera there. So the conversation started. But so they know that we're doing this, and we just have to, once we select the vendor, we're going to put the vendor in touch with our contact at Shaw, and that conversations will happen. Now, the permitting process at Shaw is a totally different beast in a sense. So that's our only hiccup. But because we've been working with them with the purple line, with the red light cameras, hopefully we'll see it happen faster than normal.
Yeah, we didn't want to hamstring ourselves by selecting a whole bunch of state road locations and then running into the whole permitting nightmare. So we selected 3 state road locations that you were able to point out: Philadelphia and Holly, Ethan Allen Jackson, and Carroll and Lincoln. So the rest of these camera locations that we selected were within the communities and on our roads. So we knew we were going to be able to be up and running much faster.
Any other questions? No other questions? I think we can wrap it up. I think I forgot to introduce myself when I started. I'm Deputy Chief Shabu Philippos. I take for granted that people might know me, but I thank you guys for being here, taking the time to be here. Please do tell your neighbors about this meeting, and share the QR code. It will be recorded, and as soon as we have a link, it'll be sent out as a bulletin or something like that, so the community has it. And really, if you have intersections, or if you have any recommendations, for intersections or how the program should be run, just let us know. Some of the questions that Captain Mazzotti has on the questionnaire will allow you to, give us your input. And as always, you can always contact the chief or myself with any questions or anything that you might have.
Print this up with the QR code and put it on restaurants or barbershops. I'm just thinking about where I live.
So she asked if we could print this up and put it at restaurants or shops or QR codes. We certainly can. Great idea.
One of the other things I believe, and I is happening next week, is there's the Coffee with the Cop for Ward 5, and I believe that's next week, and that might be a good opportunity for at least the Ward 5 residents to talk more about this with you all.
Yeah, I'll be down there in case any more residents want to come out and have some questions for me. Our patrol officer's probably going to not know too much about the program as much as I would, but I'll definitely be there and I'll answer. Yeah, I love coffee.
Well, thank you for braving the weather outside and the heat inside. Have a safe night. Yep, take care. Absolutely.